What is going on, everyone? Um, just want to do a quick check. Give me a thumbs up or just let me know if you guys are able to hear me. We're having a little bit of audio issues here. So if you guys could let me know if you could hear me, that'd be awesome. Cool. All right. Perfect, perfect, perfect. I think we are still waiting for one more guest here. But in the meantime, we can get things going. So for all of you that are joining us so far, it looks like we're waiting for more listeners as well. Welcome to episode number 90 of the Hideout. We've been running the Hideout now for probably 2 years, coming up on, just about every week. We've been pretty consistent with it, but we're really, really excited to be hosting these spaces every week and getting to talk to new projects in the Web3 gaming and Metaverse space, and really just hearing about all the exciting things that are going on in the space. So my name is Spencer Vogel. I'm the business development manager with Apollo Entertainment, which is the company behind Satoshiverse, and the Legion's 2029 game that we are building. Normally one of our co-founders and our CEO, Nick, from Terra, is normally up here doing the intros and running the spaces. But he is over in Asia right now. They were just at Korea Blockchain Week, and then they're going to be going to Token 2049 next week. So their timing doesn't quite work out for us. So I'm running the spaces today. But yeah, just a quick intro on Satoshiverse. And kind of just Apollo Entertainment in general. We've been building in the space for about 4 years, starting in 2020. Releasing one of the first Bitcoin-themed superhero IPs in collaboration with the amazing Jose Delbo, who was, a comic book artist who worked on a bunch of different IPs for Marvel and DC Comics, had about a 77-decade career with the big publishers. And we evolved the project into a gaming universe with our Legion's 2029 game, which very high level is a fast-paced hack and slash game with both roguelike and RPG elements. It's completely blockchain enabled. Your progress gets stored on the NFT metadata for your characters and your gaming items. Definitely a lot more to say about the game, but I encourage you to check out the messages that I pinned to the top. Those have some really good visuals for some of the stuff that we're working on right now. So we have a bunch of current initiatives that we posted up there, like our current Battle Pass tournament, and we also have our Game 7 integration with their new Quest feature on Hyperplay, which we're really excited about. But that's enough about us. We have a really, really amazing panel today, and they're all building some awesome stuff in the Web3 gaming space. So we're going to start off with introductions. Before I do, though, I just want to say if any of the speakers have anything that they'd like to pin to the top of the space, just to kind of show what they're working on, please pin anything you'd like to the top. And then, let's start off with our friends Wizardia. Welcome back. Can you give us, just a brief intro? Tell us about yourself, your background in the space, and what you guys are building.
Yeah, cheers. Thanks for having me on again here. Everyone can hear me?
Loud and clear.
Beautiful. I was running a bit late, wasn't sure if I was going to make it on time, but I'm glad to be here. And my experience in the industry, it started only a few years ago with Wizardia. That was my entry point, and it's been a hell of a journey. We went through the bear market, and then we're riding back up through some pretty crazy times now. But I think it's a really exciting time because there's still a lot of people with a lot of massive interests in the market and in blockchain as a whole. So there's a lot of big things happening. Wizardia, we are basically a play-to-earn game set in a futuristic fantasy world where players come in 3v3 battles. So that's three characters per team. And it has the RPG style to it. So players come in there, battle, upgrade their wizards, and very soon we're looking to be able to do a lot more special stuff, but we've been a bit quiet on the development front lately.
Amazing. Well, Ryan, it's great to have you back. Next, let's go to, I think it's Tropic at Kitty Cart.
Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry, a little technical difficulties there with the microphone. Yeah, it's Tropic, community manager over at Kitty Cart and Nineverse, everything that we're building. It is a free-to-play game using Web3 elements, But ultimately, Nineverse is a transmedia company bringing IP to life. So Kitty, our character, was launched during the whole, I guess you'd say the Doge meme craze with everything. Well, here comes this cat dressed as a Shiba Inu that wants to run with the big dogs. Now, it's our job to put this character into as many mediums as possible, whether it be a video game like we currently have, comic books, stories, toys, whatever it might be, and get people to actually care about what's being built in the Nineverse with Kitty. And that's what we're here for, and just to have this conversation with you guys and see how all this ties in and why Web3 actually matters to gamers and to gaming.
Love it. Well, thank you so much for joining us. And then lastly, we'll go to Farcana. I think that's Roger over there.
Hey, this is Roger over at the Farcon account. I run all the influencer marketing over here in BD with my team. Happy to be here. Excited to be in this panel with all of you. We are a 4v4 hero shooter backed by Bitcoin, so on the blockchain. We're similar to a game called Overwatch, if you're familiar with it. We have heroes, you have a payload, and you move that payload to the end mark to win, and then to you as an opponent to win, you have time to match that score, tie it, or take it to overtime. So that is our game. We're one of the biggest game studios in the Middle East with over 170 plus employees. We have employees from all over, Riot Games, Epic Games, you name it. Most of them have worked at one of those studios. So we're very happy with the team we built. It's a big reason why this game has taken so long to build a great game. It takes a lot of time. You got to hire the right people, have the right team, and it takes a little more time to build a AAA game, and that's what we're building is a AAA video game in the industry of blockchain. So we're super excited for it. We have a great team. We have playtests releasing almost every other month. So if you are paying attention, make sure you follow us at our account and always releasing playtests.
Amazing, amazing. Well, I'm excited to learn more about what you guys are building as well. So before we move into questions and I invite Lau up to do that, I want to go over a little bit of the format of the space. First, before I get into the format though, I want to tell everyone about the giveaway that we're doing this week. So we're giving away 5 Satoshi's crystals, which is our main in-game resource in the Satoshiverse, which allows you to basically upgrade all your weapons and characters. Very, very important resource within the game. So in order to enter a giveaway, all you have to do is repost the tweet that was posted to the top of the space that was pinned that says "We're live." And if you repost that and you're basically in the space when we close the space out, you'll be our winner. So definitely enter that. And then getting into the format, we're going to start out with a group question. Lau will call on somebody to start to answer the question, and then feel free to just jump into the conversation from there. And then we'll move into individual questions for each of you guys, and then we'll get back into some group questions at the end if we have time. So without further ado, I will pass it over to Lau.
Hi, everyone. Can everyone hear me okay?
Yes, I can.
Okay, so hi, my name is Laura, and I am the Partnerships and Community Manager for Satoshiverse and the Hideout, and I am very excited to be here today with this really awesome panel. So the first question that I have, I would like Tropic to start answering it. And this is a question for everyone. So as Spencer said, after Tropic answers, then everyone can just jump in with what they think about the question. So the first question is, what are the biggest challenges facing the Metaverse and Web3 gaming industry today?
Yeah, I would say one of the biggest challenges is just having everyone understand what's going on here. Unfortunately, someone with a lot of dollars rebranded their entire company as Meta, and that changed the conversation quite a bit. So it really has confused a lot of consumers and people that are in the space, because most people I speak to, when we start talking about the Metaverse, it is what Mark Zuckerberg and company advertised as what they were building. So they don't really understand what's going on here. They think it's some kind of gimmicky thing. They didn't like that vision of it. So they kind of just casted that net over everything and just dismissed it all. So I think right now, the issue that we're having is more so an education and a branding and a conversation that needs to be had with the average person, because they just don't truly understand what we're doing here. And they think it's like a gimmick that VCs use to raise a lot of money and burn people's cash, because that's the experience that they've seen. and the narrative that has been told on CNBC and all the financial reporting on what exactly happened over at Meta. So it's just very interesting, but the people that are in here building and doing all sorts of things, we know what it means, but I think it's just our job to then communicate that to people that would be the consumers that would be in these worlds that are using it, the communities that are building things.
If Fargana, you got your hand up, go ahead.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Yeah. So, I mean, I'll touch on what he said. Actually, just quick on that. Meta actually bought that name from a company called Meta Threads, which was an esports clothing brand. That was made by a paintball brand. They actually Facebook paid $50 million for that name. Actually, Meta Threads. And actually, it's funny because they Meta, and then they actually made a company with Threads as well. So that's the little backstory on how Meta got that name. And you're absolutely right. They tarnished the Meta name and what Metaverse and all that means and confused a lot of people. But I just think, and it kind of touches on what Kitty Card over there said, is mass adoption, right? Until we were in front of mass adoption and educating them and educating the masses and them understanding what we're doing, how to do it, and ourselves make things a lot less complicated. We're going to be continuing this little circle cycle of, being with just the current users we have and slowly, daily onboarding very little newer Web2 focused users because at the end of the day, we're not at mass adoption yet. So yeah, my opinion is we just need mass adoption. I don't think it's a industry thing at this point. I think it's a thing that we don't have enough people following or enough eyeballs here paying attention, and a lot of it is we shot ourselves in our own foot with what happened with the NFTs in 2021 and the way we've let things publicly go without fighting them back. Like Logan Paul came in and scammed and now he's a WWE superstar, yet we let him do that and no one's fighting for it. My point is we let people do the bad things and we let them continue to live. And when that happens, people will be like, oh, Logan Paul's still famous. Oh, NFT's the thing. Yeah, he did that and he didn't. We're not touching that. So I think those things hurt us too. So yeah, a lot of things.
Yeah, I think one of the issues. I mean, it probably stems from a couple of things, but it's kind of very much agreeing with what you guys both just said. We need more education, we need more eyeballs. But I think kind of like the unfortunate truth is that the way that a lot of these kind of like nascent spaces get eyeballs is because people are following the money, and people want to go in and be able to make a quick buck, and there are some people who are here for the right reasons and really care about the technology, but uh, it, unfortunately, that's kind of just how the space is, and we've seen it over the last few years, and just kind of how the greed of the cycles always work. But that kind of like I think the underlying issue of that almost, and I mean, there's a few different things, but there's like one, the economy is not as good as it could be right now, and I think there's not as much of an appetite for investment in risky assets right now. So crypto is obviously one of those things. But then I think the bigger thing that, kind of coincides with that is just like the regulatory environment and the lack of regulatory clarity, from specifically U.S. Agencies. That just, I think it makes it really hard for, bigger players to feel comfortable investing in the space, even legitimate investors, but also even small people as well. So I think there's a lot of issues that kind of surround all that.
Yeah, absolutely. In a real nutshell, I think some of the biggest things we have is nerves and lack of education. And it's not just in, GameFi or Web3. It's in crypto as a whole. It's in the entire new tech there. People are still scared of Bitcoin. People are scared to play and lose because, somehow they feel they've got more skin in the game. So it's the whole wider crypto community that really does need to keep pushing, keep educating, so that way we can actually keep getting things moving forward too. But until we can overcome the scams, the word associations to Ponzi schemes and such like that, we're always going to be battling that fight.
Well, thank you so much for those amazing answers and that awesome conversation to start this space. How about we move to individual questions? So the first question that I have is for Wizardia, for Ryan. So Wizardia has its own token. I'm gonna butcher this. I am so sorry. The WCRD. I think it's Wizard. Wizard. Ha. What do you think are the biggest positives and negatives for integrating a cryptocurrency into a gaming economy?
Well, there definitely are a hell of a lot of complexities with it. It's, exciting and it's fun to be a part of it, but it's definitely, takes your time to really nut out how it's going to work down. But I think some of the biggest positives that you can get out of it would be ownership. So it's the ownership adds like an extra layer to the game. People can play the game, make money, and then trade with it as well. It's like a whole new layer. The decentralization of it, this is something that I find attractive about the entire crypto space, and having that involved in a game is just like, it's something that I've always been really attracted to anyway. And I think there's a lot of people out there that do like the idea of decentralization. I think one of the really important things that come to mind here when I talk about the benefits is cross-game potential. And I know we've talked about interoperability and things like that in past streams gone by, but one day I really hope that, we can have a lot of cross-game potential, currencies floating between games. I think that'd be a really fun thing to have in our space. As for the negatives, straight up volatility. The crypto price going up or down is straight up directly controlling the sentiment of the project. So when the crypto's down through the bear market and suffering afterwards, it just makes it a lot more difficult. As I mentioned earlier, complexity. It takes a lot. It's a whole different team. It's a whole different way of thinking, a whole different section that people need to be aware of. And of course, regulation to make sure that, people that play the game are doing it correct, and to make sure that we're not getting listed on any new, securities, or anything like that. But the final thing I want to add to this is I've been away for a few weeks and we haven't put as much energy into managing Wizard lately. So it's definitely something we need to work on in the future.
Love it. On my end, I will say for us, I'll keep it simple. I think the best examples I always talk about is Fortnite and the V-Bucks. If right now you had Fortnite and you had skins, and you paid V-Bucks for those skins, that's what a token is. That's what the marketplace is. So it's a very simple thing that we make very complicated. At the end of the day, when we have our token, we have this marketplace. When you have investors and you have all this stuff in liquidation and all this, it becomes complicated. But in reality, from a gaming standpoint, it's not complicated, right? You buy the token, you purchase stuff in the marketplace with that token. Now you're able to either resell that, keep it, trade it. You have so many things that you could do that you cannot do right now in games like Fortnite. You can do it in Counter-Strike, with, selling skins and stuff like that, but it's still not really regulated over there, but it's one of the main things that happens. So for me, it's a very simple thing of having a token economy. But it's complicated because yes, you have investors and you have the whole economy and the bigger side of it. So that's why it becomes so complicated. But if you look at it from the simplicity of it, it really is that you just take your USD, you purchase that token, and now you buy skins and other things, in-game mechanics with that token in your game. The difference is you could sell that, then sell that token and then get your money back or even more money, right? So yeah, it's a complicated thing that I think we make complicated, but it's also kind of it's a forced complication that we don't have control over either, right? Because you have a whole economy and investors and all that you have to worry about.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I feel like with that example, it's a little hard to. I mean, I agree in that that like gamers are used to the concept of it, but it's a little hard to compare like something like a V-Bucks where it's like a fixed currency, more or less like a stable currency within a game that doesn't have a fluctuation in value compared to like a
Well,
cryptocurrency
technically, it has no value. As soon as you buy it, it's
well,
worthless.
technically it has no value, but yeah, but in comparison to, buying something that somebody could, make the assumption that it could instantly lose its value, and I think that's the thing that people are scared about. And I'm not sure if anybody has really figured out, how to really create a solid token economy yet. that really works. But hopefully soon somebody does, and we get that breakout game.
Yeah, 100%. I agree with that. Really quick, I'll just add in the, us trying to create these token economies. Like we like to think we're experts on this stuff, but I mean, governments haven't even figured out how to run their token economies and their currencies. So it's something that has been going on for the longest time, and we like to oversimplify it to make it think like, look like our particular projects or games or whatever have figured it out and cracked this code. But I mean, this is an age-old problem. How to keep this economy going. It's no different than a currency system for the most part. I mean, it's very difficult to do. However, with it, there's a little bit more a lot more transparency. But the one drawback I would say for gaming is, unlike say even owning a skin, a lot of times people that have adopted these principles and so forth within Web3, they think that they are like an owner of the company in the direction in which we go. Like if we buy something from EA Sports or another game manufacturer or whatever it is, we'll complain saying like, yeah, this is a ripoff. They didn't do good. They're not listening to their customers and so forth. But none of us actually think that we own a part of the company. So it's an interesting position that we're in as like developers and building communities and so forth. You're owning assets within it, but then at the same time, some people translate that into, I'm a shareholder in the company. The CEO has to listen to what I'm saying. And I've bought the most of these skins or whatever it is. Therefore, I'm going to be the loudest. And if they don't listen to me, I'm going to FUD and drag down the whole thing. It could be really crazy. And we see that happen a lot because people mix what exactly they are buying and why they're there and what elements of ownership or what do they actually own when they're using this technology, I should say.
Thank you so much. Okay, how about we move on to the next question? The next question is for Roger. So Roger, how important do you think influencers and content creators are for building communities around games? And what differences do you see between influencer marketing in Web2 versus Web3 gaming?
So on the first question, I think it depends on the strategy, right? Because I think micro influencers have a lot more effect in games that are looking for more UA gamers that are looking for retention, right? And I think from the micro influencer side, you're gonna get that. Now, I think for a game that's in a global launch phase that is trying to go global and trying to go to the masses, that the bigger influencers and those bigger spends make a little more sense, right? Because you do want the marketing and the ads, and the UA doesn't really matter at that point. Like I don't care if I hire, let's say, Nick Merckx or a Ninja or whatever the case may be. Hire one of those guys, and they only bring me 50 users. I really don't care. What I care about is the content and marketing I got from that, the content that I could repost, use, show, all that. That matters a little more to me on a global launch. But like I said, for me, it's more the strategic, where the game is, what they're trying to accomplish, and that really determines. Because like I said, micro influencers and stuff have a little more effect usually than some of the bigger guys do in different types of strategies. So that's my take on that. And now on the Web 2 side and the Web 3 side, I will say that in Web 3, a lot of studio and games have been forced to work with the creators. And I mean that respectfully because there isn't a lot to work with, right? So games and studios have had to kind of adapt to the industry of Web3 and what creators are asking for and what the ask and what you're getting in return. And you kind of have to swallow your pride in some ways because you're not getting really what it's worth. And like I said, I work with a lot of creators and a lot deliver in a lot of different ways, but I'm just talking broadly here, right? When you only have some creators only getting, 10,000, 5,000 views, but they're getting paid like a top creator in Web 2. That's interesting to me. And I see that. Web 2 creators and Web 3 creators' prices are not very different. So that's my interesting take on it from my experience. So I found that very interesting that, the cost of Web 3. But I also understand why creators in Web 3 are charging this cost because in some ways there's no other option for you, right? And they are the ones that hold the key in some ways. So they also have that step to stand on in that aspect. But that's my opinion on it.
Thank you so much. I totally agree. I think that marketing for Web3 is a completely different beast than Web2 marketing. And I think we talked about this a lot. It's just absolutely different. So thank you for your opinion on it. Okay, so our next question is for Tropic. So how do you think Web3 technology can improve the racing gaming genre?
I think one of the cool things with racing, and our game actually isn't probably the best example of this, simply because we are more casual, social casual gamers for racing. But I think of like the hardcore car person, right? Those types of games, I think will even have a better opportunity from Web3 than even we do. Cause like what we do is we have skins and different cars with different attributes. But now let's say, if you remember Gran Turismo, kind of dating myself, that was like my favorite gaming experience ever was the original Gran Turismo, where we built out this, what we call the Caribbean Cruiser, this like rinky dink hatchback car, and putting all the parts in it and everything. And, it was like a neighborhood pride and glory to build up this little thing that looked absolutely horrible, but it was just an amazing racing machine, right? So people that are really car enthusiasts want their individuality to come out and have all these different aspects to it. And having all of these parts that you can actually own and have your bragging rights, because it's limited, it's hard to get. It may be on the higher tier, is no different than someone who has like the highest spec'd out import engine or something of that nature, where for car enthusiasts, they know that means something. So the same thing within the game and ecosystem, right? When you're using certain assets or whatever it might be within a game, I think it just brings that element of just bragging rights so much so. Customization and your personality really comes out, what type of racer you are, what type of car person you are. And even in our game where it's much more casual, right? I roll around with a rinky dink pickup truck. It looks like a cartoon truck, but the reason why I do it is because I'm a truck guy. I drive a Ford pickup truck, and I'm here in Jamaica, like avoiding potholes. So when I'm playing the game, I just feel like, hey, the one that most represents me is that car, even though it's not as hardcore as like a Gran Turismo, like a real spec'd out person. But at the same time too, just that, individuality. Anyone hops in the game and say, hey, how'd you get that car? Then I have a story to tell. So it's really fun, very social. And I can go on and on and on and on, but for the sake of time, I'll just land the plane there and pass it to somebody else. But I think it's a great opportunity for every racing game personally.
Thank you so much, Tropic. Before we continue with the next everyone question, I would like to remind all our listeners, old and new, that we have a giveaway every episode. So if you see the pinned tweets, there is a We're Live tweet. Go retweet that, and at the end, we will announce our winner. So go participate for some Satoshi's crystals, which are really cool resources in our game. Okay, so the next question is for everyone, and I would like Ryan to start us off with it. So what strategies are most effective for building and maintaining communities in the Web3 space?
Yeah, great question. And it's something we've always got forever evolving answers to. But to put it real simply, I think the most effective things to always consider is transparency. If there's things that you're trying to hide or delay or push off, it just makes things a lot worse. You need to be direct and concise and really let the community around you know what's going on. Engagement, there needs to be ways for the community to engage in the game with the project, with the team behind it. And then get some rewards and incentives along the way, particularly through events and raffles and things held through Discord, which is something that I find a lot of fun to run. Education is also absolutely crucial. So I think many projects need to look into this, and that's including an education space on their website just to help people learn about crypto as a whole as they start to immerse themselves into your project. And of course, something that I'm always a huge fan of is collaboration. While we're still building the entire space, projects like all the ones we've got here today need to come together and keep entering each other's spaces and really growing as one whole.
You know that we definitely agree with you on that one. The rising tides lift all ships, and we love collaborating with other people in the space, and love having Twitter spaces like this to be able to learn and allow other people to be able to learn about everything that's going on. I think that's a really really important way to kind of build and also continue to engage your community. But I think just to answer that question really quickly, I think one of the really big things that I think people really appreciate, and I'm thinking more from like the retention perspective, is like rewarding loyalty. So, doing things to really show that you see the players, who've been there, or even if they're not players yet, even if they're just, people who are supporting your project and you haven't released your game yet, but, really, really rewarding those people, who have been there for a long time and have shown their support. I think that's one of the things that really will keep people around. Obviously having engaging events and, tournaments, things like that, cross collaboration with other communities, very, very important. But yeah, I think just like allowing the community to feel a sense of ownership. And I know Kitty Cart, you guys you were kind of talking about this before, kind of from a different perspective, from the token side of things. But I think giving the community the opportunity to feel a sense of ownership, maybe not actually give them ownership, but at least give them a sense of it. Whether it's involving them in the development process or allowing them to actually make decisions on the project through, governance with a token or whatever it may be. I think giving them that sense of empowerment is definitely something that keeps people around and makes people want to, continue on the journey and see where it goes. Because they've been around for so long, and yeah, so that's kind of my take on it.
Kitty card, go for it.
Yep, sorry, moving to a little quiet spot. Yeah, when I used to run a lot of ads back in the day for Web2 platforms, just trying to sell things like coffee and what have you, this thing that we used to always say is the bait you use is going to determine what you catch, right? So it's no different than if I was trying to catch birds, I wouldn't go out there and put like, peanut butter. Well, I wouldn't put, what do you call it? I was going to say, chicken nuggets or something out on a stick to try to catch some birds because I want to bird watch, right? So one of the hard things for me when I came into Web3, the reason why I came in late, quote unquote, I like to say I came in late, was because all the people that initially tried to get me in it, they kept saying, hey, you got to check out crypto because you can make a lot of money really quickly. And that never resonated with me. One day I was at work in a family business, working a boring brick and mortar, keep my sanity. I listened to podcasts and I heard about digital collectibles. It reminded me of Pokemon cards when I was a kid. I was like, hey, I can collect this stuff, have fun doing it, and I won't take up a whole bunch of space and drive my wife crazy. And I came in as a collector having fun. Now, it was after being in the space having fun, reminding me of a kid. Then I found out, like, hey, this solves so many other problems. I reached out to my friends. I was like, look, why didn't you tell me about this? He's like, well, everyone wants to hear about making money, so that's what we led with. Like, for 3, 4, 5 years, you've been telling me to come into crypto to make money quickly. Clearly, that wasn't working. You could have showed me the benefits of being in the space and I would have came in. So as far as building a community in these games and so forth, like what you're putting out there, if like your bio, the first thing in it is play to earn, get an airdrop, where you're going to get a lot of people that are financially motivated that are looking to get paid, as opposed to if it's something like, hey, free, battle royale game, come in. It's a very different thing you lead off with. So you're going to attract very different people. So as far as building it, like the leading statement is the bait.
Roger, do you have anything that you want to add?
I did not hear anyone that was talking. So what is the question? Because if someone was talking, I did not hear them.
Oh no. Oh, X at it again. So the question that we're talking about is what strategies are most effective for building and maintaining communities in the Web3 space?
Yeah, so I think people get very complicated with this, and something that the last 10 years of, working on the social media side of things that I've done is, I actually was just talking about this in another space, is quality over quantity, right? And, quality costs money. So if you don't have a lot of money, engagement. You just have to be engaging. Reply to everybody. I don't care who it is, how many followers they have, what they wear, what they look like, what they say. Reply to everybody. Have a conversation with everybody. Go to other people's posting. Go to other people's forums. post in there, be chat, talk about it, give insightful information. Don't just say put an emoji or just say cool, fire. Like be insightful, be forward facing, put time in the industry, be there, reply. And I think that, as for me, has always been the bread to my success when it comes to growth, is just always replying, being there, being a part of the conversation, being a part of trends. There's strategy to it too, right? Like someone makes a post that's going viral, like why aren't you replying in it? Why aren't you talking about it? Why aren't you in that thread? There's a lot of things that go into it. One time I remember I put an emoji in a thread that went viral, and that one emoji got me 3 million impressions, like, and over 10,000 followers. So like, there's this, it's this being there, being there. All that, you're not always going to get the results you want, but I promise if you just keep doing it, you will eventually. So my thing is just be engaging. Don't get lazy. Put the time in. It's going to be repetitive. It's going to be consuming, but it's part of the growth and it's part of building a community. And if you want to build a big community, there's going to be a lot of replying, a lot of engagement, and a lot of forward-facing communication that you need to do.
Tropic, you have your hand up.
Oh, I think it's a glitch. I don't think I had my
I
hand up.
see your hand up. I'm so sorry. I was like, oh my god, so many things to say about this conversation. But no, I honestly agree with many things that have been said. I think one of the biggest things for me is honestly just having fun in the community. I don't like projects that are more focused on like selling stuff than on like actually giving something of value to like their community. I think it's very important to remember that the people that are like on the Discords, on our Twitters, on our Instagrams and all that, they're there because they care about the project and they want it to succeed. So why see them as just these products and not see them as like people? I think that is one of the like biggest flaws in like a lot of like projects that are more concentrating on making money than on giving a project like a product of quality, and also just listening to what their community wants, what they want to talk about. So yeah, thank you so much for that question. That was one of my favorite conversations that we've had so far. Before we go on to the last question, I would like to remind everyone listening that there's still time to participate in our giveaway. So go retweet that live now and we will announce our winner after this. Okay, so the last question that we have is, what new developments in the Web3 gaming and Metaverse space are you most excited about right now? How about we start with Tropic?
Being the whole the media and like that aspect, I think it is the word that was used before, interoperability, but it's for most people don't even know what that means. But what excites me about that is like when we're doing game nights with various communities and so forth and trying to get them in, we also have the option to like, hey, the game is built in a way that we can bring in your mascot. We can bring in different elements from your community and, customize these carts for your benefit or whatever it might be. We can work together. We can have a whole collection dedicated to your particular, group with whatever interest that you have. And I think that's kind of, just not unique to us. Really gives all of us the opportunity to incorporate elements from already built, thriving communities that are excited to then come into your game. It's like kind of gives you a head start with marketing. Rather than pouring it out there and scattershotting it and just hoping for the best, you could say, hey, I see that you guys are interested in XYZ. We're going to build this for you. Put your mascot in there. You can bring it into the game. You don't have to do anything of that nature because the game's already built, and they'll bring it in there and give your community something to rally about and have fun with a game night or whatever it might be. And I think that's just a unique thing that you couldn't really do with like back in the day with like console games and so forth. Like, yes, you can create characters and so forth, but bringing in a whole community like overnight, it's a very unique thing because once that community sees their identity in the game, taking that ownership of the character now, they have a little bit more pride with the skin. They might want to display that a little bit more. User generated content starts to come out more naturally, and you have a whole marketing machine that technically you didn't necessarily financialize, you didn't pay for them as influencers, but now that you have an army of influencers just because they're excited that their identity is within the game. And I think that's very unique to what we're building here within Web3. And I think, that's the approach that we're taking. And I think a lot of projects as well, which I think is just the right one. We can collaborate. Gamers love games. So rather than seeing each other as competition, like, hey, let's bring in some of your elements from our game, whether it's your character, your mascots, your skins, and whatever, and add that in, and we can all work together and just game together and have fun.
Yeah, totally agree with that. Yeah, that's something that we've done in the past with our partner program, when we've had over 40 different partners with projects like, well, Wizardia, for example. They're one of our partners, and Decentraland and Trevor Jones, and a bunch of different partners. But yeah, we basically through our partners' logos on our avatars, and their communities were able to come into our game and basically mint a free avatar with the community they came from's logo on it, and basically, that's a free playable avatar in our game. So yeah, we love to collaborate on things like that. So I guess I'll say for my answer for the thing that is kind of most exciting for me right now. And I don't know if this is necessarily like gaming or metaverse specific, and I do have some things I'm excited about that we're building that unfortunately I can't share quite yet. But this is more a little like on the collectible side of things, which is a big focus of mine. And I'm very, very excited about some of these RWA platforms that are coming out that are allowing you to tokenize physical collectibles, physical graded collectibles, and basically put them on chain and allow you to do a lot of different things with them that and there's a lot of limitations in the physical world, and being able to have your collectibles secured in a physical vault with brinks, temperature controlled, all secure. Like, that's extremely appealing to me as a physical collector, because I have so much stuff that is valuable, and frankly it feels a little unsafe to keep it in my house all the time. So it's very appealing to be able to keep my physical collectibles, but just digitize them, have them stored in a very, very safe place where I know they're good. But yeah, so I'm really excited for what a lot of these platforms are going to do, and I think on the digital collectibles side of the space, I think it's going to allow a lot of people to, I think, better conceptualize and really like understand kind of the importance of digital collectibles and how they're going to work going forward. And I think it'll just bring a lot of new people into the space, and I think especially for bigger collectors that have like pretty high value items, opens up a lot of opportunities using like DeFi Legos on top, like being able to use your basically your digital physical collectible as collateral on chain, and take out a loan. If you have $100,000 comic book, for you to go get a $50,000 loan on that as collateral would require going to a bank and dealing with a whole bunch of stuff. Whereas you can just do that right on chain. And if somebody accepts your loan, there you go. You got money to trade with. So I'm really excited for a lot of the prospects that come with that space. So yeah, that's my take on that.
And yeah, from my end, I've been on extended holidays for the last couple of months, so I'm not been able to familiarize myself with everything that's going on again. But from a Wazadia perspective, all year I've been telling our community to hold tight. We've got some real big things coming, and now that I'm back home, I'm able to sit down with the boss and I'm able to start putting together what information we can release. So I'm super keen to get that out there to the community and start sharing some more of what our next steps are. And of course, just crypto as a whole, looking forward to seeing how the rest of the year plays out, where prices go, and what happens with this, giant Bitcoin range of, fear and greed and all the good stuff in between. But yeah, that's everything I had to say. And, yeah, thank you very much for having me on for that too as well there, Nick. I had a good time here just like always.
Awesome. Roger, Ed, you got anything before we close the space?
No, just make sure you turn notifications on everybody that is a speaker. Follow them. I'm sure they have a lot of things coming up as well. We do 2 play tests. If you haven't joined them, make sure you put it on so you know when they come. They are public. They will be coming one soon. Appreciate everyone for taking the time and join today. Have a great day.
Awesome. So before we close out, I would like to thank the panel, and I would also like to announce our winner. Our winner for 5 Satoshi's crystals is Laughing Colors. So please send us a DM with your game account, and we will send you those crystals. So thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. This was an amazing panel, an amazing conversation, and I am so excited for what everyone here is building. So as Roger said, please go follow everyone and see what everyone is building. Satoshi versus Spencer. I'll pass it on to you so you can close the space.
Awesome. Thank you, Lau. But yeah, give everyone here a follow. This has been an awesome space. That's pretty much it for us. We definitely have some cool things coming up, so keep a lookout on our socials as well. Participate in some of the initiatives that we have posted on the top of the space here. We have our season 1 battle pass tournament going on right now, as well as a partnership with Hyperplay, and doing some questing there. So some really, really good, exciting stuff. That's it from my end. If any of the speakers have any closing words or anything they want to plug before we head out, feel free. Otherwise, I will close out the space. There's a little bit of a delay, so I'm going to let it run for about 30 seconds, and then I'll close it out.
Thanks for having me, and anyone interested in game night or figuring out how to get your characters and community into the game, just send me a DM. Just reach out to me. It was fun. Appreciate you guys.